servicing customers throughout southern Oklahoma and North Texas. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, Mr. Chris Hunter. Our next panelist is a partner/owner of Rescue Air Heating and Cooling out of Richardson, Texas. Please welcome to the stage, Josh Campbell. Our final panelist is the president of Cohen Plumbing out of Eugene, Oregon. Please help me welcome Mr. Kevin Cohen. Excellent, thanks, and welcome all of our panelists. So before we get started, I want to let you know we're going to have a little bit of fun with our panelists and help you get to know them a little bit better. So first, I'd like each of our panelists to just introduce themselves and talk about one interesting fact about themselves. We'll start over here with Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh Campbell, Rescue Air. Interesting fact about me, I love to help people. So I'm always trying to contribute to somebody and help develop or grow somebody.
Excellent. Thank you, Josh. Christina.
Hi, Christina Casey, employee experience at Service Titan. So excited to have you all here and speak with you. Interesting fact about me, I am the youngest of about 30 first cousins, so I definitely don't take things too personally, and that is why I am extremely competitive.
All right, Chris.
Chris Hunter, Hunter Supertex. Interesting fact about me, I was actually fired from McDonald's. But
Me too.
Anybody else in here fired from McDonald's? No?
they wouldn't let me watch the Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl game, so that was worthy of a reason, I think.
Okay, any Cowboys fans in the room? Okay, all right. Thanks, Chris. Jacob?
Hi, I'm Jacob Levine, representing both Service Titan and Levine & Sons Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. A fun fact about myself is that I'll be the fourth generation of Levine servicing the Metro Detroit area.
Awesome. Thank you, Jacob. And Kevin?
I'm Kevin with Cohen Plumbing. We're located in Eugene, Oregon. And a fun fact about myself is that I'm the youngest journeyman ever in the state of Oregon. And last year I lived in Mexico on a beach for 2 months, and our revenue increased $800,000.
So, whoa. So I think we can end the panel. You got the strategy for whatever you need, right? On a beach in Mexico. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So we'll have a little bit of fun with our panelists, let you get to know them a little bit more. So we're going to play a couple games here. We're going to play something called word association. So I'm going to say a word, and I want you to say the first word that comes to your mind. All right? So we'll start over here with Josh. So the word is aura.
Medium white shirt.
All right. Christina, the word is downtown Los Angeles.
Traffic.
All right. Chris, the word is aura.
Salesman. He sold me on Service Titan, so there you go.
Excellent. If you don't know, aura was actually the salesman for Chris.
Yeah.
So very interesting fact there. All right, Jacob, down to you. Word association. Here we go. Phone integration.
Service Titan.
Yeah. That was pretty easy, right? All right, down to you, Kevin. Texas Longhorns.
Texas Longhorns. I'm a duck, and we really like to come out to Texas and beat some Texas Longhorns. That's not happened before. Football.
Any Duck fans in the room? Okay, one. That's awesome. Okay. All right. So we're going to move over to a little game called Love It or Hate It. So we'll start with Chris on this one. Olives on pizza.
Hate it.
I'm with you.
Christina, Facebook.
Ooh, both.
Anybody love and hate Facebook at the same time? Okay. All right, down to you, Kevin. Loose change.
Hate it.
Especially when it gets stuck in between your seats in your car. All right, over to you, Josh. Oreos.
Love them.
Anybody else in here love Oreos? All right, now back to you, Jacob. McDonald's.
Love it.
Awesome. Anybody else love McDonald's in here? McDonald's fans? It's bad for your health, okay? All right, last category as we warm up here before we get into some of the real questions. We're gonna play a game called Would You Rather. All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question, and I want you to give me the answer to that particular question. Here we go. Would you rather bungee jump or skydive? Kevin?
Bungee jump.
Okay, you look like you would be able to.
I've done both.
All right, so you've already done it. Excellent. All right, Christina, would you rather have bad breath or smelly feet?
Ooh. Smelly feet, because that's easier to hide.
All right, Chris, would you rather have a movie made about your life before you turn 21 or after you turn 21?
Definitely after. Yeah.
All right, Josh, would you rather binge watch every Rocky movie or binge watch every season of Friends?
Every Rocky movie.
Yeah, Rocky. I thought you were going to say Friends for a second. Oh, good. I probably would have done Friends.
Look at you.
All right, Jacob, last one. Here we go. Would you rather be the funniest person in the room or the most intelligent person in the room?
Funniest person in the room.
Awesome. All right, give it up for your panelists with a little bit of intro here. All right, so now I want to get into some of the real questions here around a couple topics. Retention, culture, and engagement. So I'm going to ask the questions, and it's somewhat of a popcorn fashion. And I'll start over here with Chris. So the first question is, what is your number one challenge when it comes to retaining technicians?
Well, as we scaled, just being able to have that personal touch with all of them, that's been a challenge. But developing the leaders and having them replicate what we're doing, that's been a big help for us.
Kevin, same question. What's been the number one challenge for you?
Sometimes some of the processes with your managers, they obviously don't do things the way that you would like them to do them sometimes, and so coaching them to help to do those things to make your employees, feel empowered and things like that, not, having struggles in that department. It's fun.
So Josh, what has been the top recruiting challenge for you when it comes to technicians?
This might sound bad. We don't really have recruiting challenges. That's something we don't struggle with. We've got a stack of resumes. I guess picking the right candidates. I guess sometimes top recruiting challenges, making hard decisions on who you should bring in. You see somebody who's got a lot of experience, and then somebody who's green, and we have a tendency to choose the green, which is a whole lot more work, but better for culture. So that might be it.
So what have you done to overcome that challenge?
We have amazing retention. Though, which challenge?
The challenge of recruiting.
Oh, the challenge of recruiting. I would say that we're really good at developing people and getting them in the right training, and making sure that we take those green people and develop them into great team members with lots of really good training.
Now, you bring up an interesting point around development. Can you talk a little bit more about that, around what you do as it relates to development?
Yeah, sure. I figured out a long time ago, I don't know. I tell myself I'm not very good at my job a lot. And as long as I keep that frame of mind, I keep looking for help wherever that might be. We're Nexstar members. Get a shout out to some Nexstar family. We got started. Yeah, so I've got great coaches, and I resource them a lot. And the more I train myself, I realize the value in it and how I keep getting better at my job. And then I just keep giving that to my guys, like sending them to the right schools, Perfect Tech Academy, great school, just keep developing those guys.
So question for you, Chris. What has helped your organization get to where they are effective with harnessing a great company culture?
Well, I think it ultimately starts with us, the leader. I mean, we set the tone for the whole organization, and if we lay the groundwork there, what are we doing, where are we going, and how do we do it, that's really where it starts. So I think that's really what's helped us.
So question for you, Kevin. Why is culture important to the success of your organization?
Culture is very important to the success of our industry. We have a very small hiring pool in our area. And what I mean by that is that you can't just become a plumber to get into the apprenticeship program. We've had guys wait up to 4 years on a list to get in, and there's only 3,500 plumbers in our state. So the only way that we can do this is by building people. And obviously somebody 40 or 50 years old doesn't really want to be crawling underneath houses and attics and those types of things. So we really go out and try and create a culture with people in our industry. We have a ping pong table. We do a lot of group events and things like that. But we go out and we talk to all these young kids, and we try to get them in and into our, thinking about the trades and doing different things like that. And bringing the younger people in, you have a lot of energy typically. We try and really keep that up in our office staff too as well. And so just everybody working together is very important to us.
So I want to double down that a little bit, Kevin. So you and I talked about some of the work you're doing with the younger generation. So I heard a stat over lunch that there's about, by the time we hit 2025, there'll be about 122,000 people worth of shortage in terms of this industry as it relates to technicians. So what are you doing in your organization to develop that younger generation?
What we're doing in our organization is that we go to the high schools and the junior highs, and we talk to the kids. Typically we'll contact if they have shop classes and those types of things, and we go right to the kids and talk to them in job fairs. We teach construction math classes there, teach them how to read blueprints. We've gone there and taught them how to glue pipe together and cut sprinklers, and it's really fun when you see these kids, and a lot of girls too as well. And at first in class, you're like, oh, we don't want to do this. But then you get them on something that's kind of engaging, and then by the time you get done, they've made these sprinklers and they've glued this pipe and done all this stuff, and they have these smiles that's glowing, and that's really fun. And so we've done this a lot. We typically visit I do about 10 schools a year, and then one of my other staff, he does about that many too as well in our area. Then what happens is that you end up with these 18-year-old kids, which is what we have, and then you're like, oh my gosh, I have 18-year-olds that work for me. So it's a double-edged sword, but you actually see them grow, and that's really a pretty awesome part of our business in our area. We have 10% of the apprentices in our 60-mile radius work for us.
So anybody else in here start out in the trades at a young age? Okay. So it sounds like you're making an investment in the younger generation, which is critical to the success of your organization. So
yeah, it really is. Like the Service Titan, theme, basically, born in the trades. My grandfather was a plumber. My father was a plumber, but they've never had employees before. So literally since I was 4 years old, I was out working with them all the way through school in an apprenticeship program when I was still in high school. And that's how I was able to become the youngest journeyman in the state of Oregon.
Awesome. So Jacob, so your father has owned a shop since 1927 back in Detroit, Michigan. What are some of the things that your father's organization has been doing around culture and retention that you could share with the audience?
Yeah, so something that we do is from the very first interview, when we find a technician or even an office person, we have that first interview with them, and we ask them about really their life goals and what they're looking to obtain out, not only a career, but just their life in general. And we share with them how that we could reach that together through working at Levine & Sons and making sure that, one, that they're on track in doing that, and that, two, as a company, and that the leadership is doing everything possible to support their dreams.
And have you found that to be a formula for success for your father's organization?
Absolutely.
1927, they've been around in business, so congratulations to you and your pop shops and that success. So Christina, what is your idea of an ideal company culture?
I think it's one where employees feel like they have a place where they can feel that fulfillment, exactly what Jacob said, where they feel like they're getting more than just a paycheck. Of course, a paycheck is important. No one's going to deny that, but that it's something more, that they're showing up for their team members, or they're showing up for something greater than what they're doing, and they see how they're really affecting people's lives. Coming from more of a tech world, it's great for me to see that we're serving customers who are helping people function in their everyday lives. Businesses, homes, people can't live without these core things running smoothly, and you empower that. So I think seeing the connection to what they do to a much bigger purpose and their real impact, that's when you have a culture that, people are coming back, they want to be there, and you can't really ask for more than that.
So going beyond the paycheck. But what would you say to those in the audience that, their organization, their techs don't care about anything but a paycheck? and all the other fancy perks and things don't matter. What would you say to that?
I would say, sure. Again, money matters. Can't deny that. We've all got to pay bills. We all have things that we need to take care of. But I would say there's something that drives them beyond that, right? What are they really trying to get to? Why is that important? Is it because they have a family to take care of, or financial needs? Are they trying to send a kid to college? So yes, that's going to be a factor, but usually there's something more. And if you can unlock what is that more, why is that a driving force? That's when you can really tap into something really powerful and have your team know that they're there for something beyond, empowering or powering a business.
Just on that thought, I think it's a leadership problem too. If you've got people coming to work and they're just getting a check, I think you're probably not very transparent with them. They don't understand how they fit into the business and what their role is and how they contribute. So I think from a leadership perspective, you really want to make sure that your team knows, they know why they're there and they know that they're part of something and what they do matters.
Absolutely. So let's stay on this topic of perks for a second. So Chris, actually in some research I did about your organization, I saw a list of perks that there was about 20 things on this list. Can you talk about the investment that you've made in your company culture and those things, those perks beyond the paycheck?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, my team is my biggest investment. So I'm continually looking for ways to give back to them. And most of the things that are perks are really sometimes not even a significant cost, but to them they have an extreme value. So for example, a workout facility. Well, it didn't take a lot. We had a lot of employees that had them, they were hanging clothes on them at their house, so why not bring it up to the shop and we can all share it together? But we have been intentional about it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be just a significant cost, just an intentional effort.
So I also understand there's a rumor out there that you have a very interesting perk in your organization. Can you talk to us about tanning beds?
Yeah. Well, my dad always taught me look good, play good, and so we put in a tanning bed up there, and we invite all the wives and even the employees to go up there and use it. It's free, and it's just a perk. I want to get their family involved, and if mama's happy, they're happy. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And how have you seen those perks that you offer in your organization affect the retention of your technicians?
Oh, by far. I mean, so even recruiting, we'll bring them in and have a tour of the facility, and they may go look at another place and it looks like a heat and air shop, and there's fittings and duct work, and we have a really nice training room and workout facilities and tanning beds and things like that. So even if it's not used, it's a huge recruiting tool.
So Kevin, what types of investments have you made in your company culture?
Pretty similar. We had a workout room for about 4 years, and we actually hired a trainer to come in there, and it's always really good the first year you get everybody involved with it, and then it kind of slopes off. But we had some pretty good competitions and things like that. We do a lot of, we do a Philly cheesesteak lunch. This year we had 400 people come. Our staff basically gets a full day off. We cook everything. We get out all of our equipment. We do volleyball. We do dodgeball. We do mud runs. I don't know, what else do we do?
Bowling.
We have a bowling team too as well. So we just do a lot of little competitive things. There's many people that want to do those things. We do those. We do employee fun nights usually every quarter. Well, actually last night we did suites at the baseball game, but we weren't able to be there. So we FaceTime with everybody last night for like an hour. I got to see them at the game and stuff like that. But we work really hard at what we're doing. And so I think playing together is very important. Teams that play together are going to stay together.
Excellent. So how many of you, by a show of hands, could take some of these ideas and implement them in your organization? Some simple things you can do, right? Awesome. So a couple other questions here for Josh. So what is the number one way organizations can make a substantial difference in retaining their talent?
I think developing your people, because they know that you care and you're investing back into them. I think that's probably the number one way we do it. We send them to great training. I would think also, really that including them in the full circle of the business. At our company meetings, we talk about, we went to a business planning workshop, and we came back with a comprehensive plan for how to attack the following year, right? That was going on a year ago. We're getting ready to do it again. And that went up on a whiteboard, and that's sitting in our meeting room, and we open it up and we go over all that stuff and how each person affects that, and how what their impact on it is. So I think that's probably the biggest thing.
Take it a step further too. I think he's 100% right, but I also think that it involves not just work. Helping these guys learn how to win at home. And win with their finances, and helping them improve in all those areas has been a huge part. Whenever I have an application, one of the things that we ask on there, what's most important to you? And very rarely is money one of them. Almost 9 times out of 10, it's always about either personal growth or working for a bigger purpose. So that was kind of an enlightenment to me. I'm here as the leader of this organization. This is a big responsibility to develop the whole team, not just as a technician, but as a person. And I think that's a magnet. People want to be a part of that.
And it sounds like what you guys are talking about is developing that whole person, right? So beyond just the aspect, hey, I'm a technician, I'm actually a person first. So Christina, I would love to hear your thoughts on that concept of developing the whole person.
Yeah, so I think the common misconception is that you see them at work and that's the only person that they are. But to that point, there's a whole lot that goes on outside of those 4 walls or things that affect them. So you being conscious of that and appreciating it, recognizing it, and things that are non-monetary, giving them an opportunity to have that balance and spend time with their family, giving them that freedom to set that balance for themselves as their life changes. Maybe they're 18 and they just want to hang out at the shop all day, and then they become 30 and they have kids at home that they need to get to or want to get to practice or games for. So that's going to shift if you retain them. So that's going to be really key to think about of where is that individual, and that's going to be leaders and managers knowing their teams, knowing what's really driving them. But you guys already said, what research has told us, that there are 3 main ways to kind of keep people at an organization. One is mastery of skills, so that's training, giving them new skills, leveraging the skills that they have. A purpose, which is understanding how they fit into that bigger picture, something beyond what they're physically doing, how that really ties into something much bigger. And the other one's really autonomy, and that's going to be built off of trust. So if you're hiring the right people and you know that they're equipped to do and you've given them the skills to do that, then it's also giving them that autonomy to help grow your business more. Usually, especially if it's smaller and you want to grow, my family had a small business. They wanted to be in everything. They wanted to know everything that was going on at all times because it becomes an extension of you. But also trusting that you've hired the right people, that they're there for the right reasons, and that it's aligned with what you want them to do is going to be huge. And if people have all 3 of those things, money absolutely becomes, secondary. You still want to make sure you're competitive, but at the same time, it's not going to be the driving force where it's always about money to keep them there. It's going to be about that growth and how you're investing in them as an individual and as a human, not just a worker or an employee, but a person.
So how many of you in here, by a show of hands, agree with that concept of you need to develop the whole person? That resonates with you? Most of the room here. So just some things that you could take back to your organizations as you think about how to keep people and how to develop them for that next level. So Kevin, what's one challenge that you faced with harnessing a great company culture? Because we've talked a lot about some of the things that are working, some of the ideas that that you have in your organizations, but what are some of the challenges that you face?
I'd say some of the challenges are is when you have changes in management, especially when you move from one position to the other. You get people that, you let somebody go, then you have to explain to everybody what's kind of going on. That happened to us this last year with our general manager. Just basically you have to treat everybody the same, and you have to learn how everybody operates and works and how they're going to best work for your function, and then utilize all their talents to do all those things that you need them to do, along with managing their people. To me, that's the number one.
So Jacob, I want to come back to you here. So your father's shop's been around a long time. What are some of the things that you've done that didn't work out as it relates to retention and managing culture and engagement?
That's a great question. So to echo what Kevin said as well, to begin, it's really important to make sure that you are treating all the technicians the same, or really anyone in the office as well. Setting up these regular one-on-ones to talk not only to the technicians that are doing exceptionally well, but the technicians that need the help as well. So that's an area where the not excel the most at, and we're looking to improve in the future. So making sure that we're spreading the love and that everyone's getting the attention that they deserve, which we found, as I'm sure many of you have found to be extremely difficult, with just managing the chaos of what it is owning and operating service industry today. There's really no, everyone has an extremely flexible schedule, and it's hard to manage all of that. So just powering through that to make sure that everyone's getting the time to develop and make sure that they feel as important as the best tech as well.
One last thing. One of the things that we did this year, which has been a really big hit for us, is that in our annual review, we've set goals individual for each individual person, so everyone's going to be a little bit different. And in their review, that's like one of the main things that we look at, and then we kind of grade them on that. And then when they come back to us, they let us know how they think they've done. We let them know how they've done, and then we have new goals. And it allows them to work on themselves in the office, in the field, doing whatever they're doing. That's been a really, really substantial thing for us.
It's kind of a concept that how many people in here are passionate about their business? All of us, right? How many people want their team members to be passionate about the business, right? Everybody. How many of us regularly share with your team how passionate you are about your business? So there's a disconnect there, I think, where we, I'm third generation. My granddad, everybody was worth $12 an hour. That's it, and you don't share your emotions. You bottle all that stuff up, and I think it's important that we kind of change the philosophy on that. I think if you don't show and share how important it is, how can you expect them to feel that way and to really want to be a part of something? So I try to have real conversations with everybody on a regular basis, and I'll open up and I'll tell them, hey, I was at a company meeting one time and I was like, guys, I don't feel like coming to work, and I mean, I've never felt that way in this business, and I don't want to feel that way again. I think it's okay to be honest and open with your team. The more that you share that, the more, I think it helps the buy-in.
And just to build off that, so it sounds like obviously passion is an edge that you can have within your organization, but you're also talking a little bit about vulnerability and how vulnerability creates that connection with your people, and how that also allows them to connect further to the bigger picture of what you're doing. So Chris, would love to just hear some of your thoughts on that as well, in terms of that idea of being vulnerable and really passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah, transparency is huge. I mean, it builds trust. And even when you make a mistake, if you can go back and be transparent about it, and they see that, hey, this guy's a real guy, and he's walking a real walk, even if he makes a mistake, then he's going to come back to us. So I think transparency is definitely a key to the whole engagement thing.
So I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about some practical ways that people can focus on retention, culture, and engagement. So I would love to hear, what are some of the resources or tools that you go to get information on this stuff? Because there may be some folks in the audience that have no idea where to start as it relates to really focusing on this and making it a key part of their business strategy. So we'd love to hear, what are some of the go-to resources or contacts that you use to focus on retention and culture and engagement?
I just kind of cheat off of people who are doing a good job. So you sit next to the smartest guy in the class. Don't study off the dunces test. So if you're going to cheat, get good notes.
Cheaters never prosper. Cheaters never prosper.
I keep telling myself I don't know what I'm doing, and then I call my coaches, and I get rattled and freaked out, and I'm lost a lot of the time. We're going to do $8.5 million this year. I've never ran an $8.5 million company, so I'm not going to pretend like I know how. By the time I know how to run one, it'll be next year, and we'll be doing $12 million. I won't know how to run that company. So I just keep reaching out to coaches and people that are a lot smarter than me, and getting good advice on how to do that, and just be a student.
Awesome. Kevin?
For me, I utilize my team a lot. I have an events coordinator that works for us, and so what we do is I just, hey, what can we do different? I allow our people and our management staff to come up with ideas. We kind of vote on them, and then we take them to our company meeting. We're like, hey, would you guys like to do this, or does this sound fun to somebody? And then things that we've just done in the past that we just make them bigger and better for people to do, and we just try and keep that we obviously all work hard, but we also want to make it fun. We get up every single morning. We spend more time with these people than we do with anybody else. And if you get out of bed, you're like, oh my God, I have to go to work. Well, that's not any good, and that doesn't help their culture at all. So if someone is having a bad day, I'll go talk to them, hang out with them. Hey, come up to my office. Hey, let's have a shot of whiskey. Let's do something. I mean, depending on where they're at, what's going on. That has happened before.
Always cures everything.
It's just being really, like we were talking about, transparent with them and very open, and just helping everybody out. You go through divorces and breakups and all this stuff, and as the owner of the company, you end up going through a lot of this stuff with people. So just being there for your employees.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that brings me to a point, Chris, when you and I talked, you talked about how you're there as a part of the person's whole life. So you're there when they go through the challenges at their home and when they're having a bad day. Can you talk a little bit about what you do to really put your arms around your folks as the whole person?
Yeah. Well, if you've heard me say one word, it's been intentional this whole time. So if you take nothing else from it, remember that word intentional, because truly, the busier we get, the bigger we get, it is an intentional thing that I have to do. I have to actually have an intentional calendar where I'll write their name down, somebody's name, every day, and I'm going to take that time to reach out to that person that day and thank them. Let them know I appreciate it. Otherwise, if it's not scheduled, sometimes I don't get it done. So, intentional.
So being intentional about focusing on your people. So quick question for the audience. So how many of you feel like if you talk to your employees could get some valuable information about what you could do to help them stay with your organization? Simply asking in some type of way to get that information. Absolutely. Go ahead, Chris.
I got one more too. So like the polls that we've been doing here, those are phenomenal in your company meetings. We play a game called Kahoot, which was like that. But ask questions and see what the response is and get them behind causes and stuff that's important to them. And then, man, they're even more engaged. If they believe in Alzheimer's awareness, support that cause. So you're right, asking them is the key.
And I would say don't be afraid to ask the question because you don't know what they're going to say. I think that's where I've seen organizations, not here, but in the past go wrong, where you're afraid of what they're going to say. You don't know what they're going to say, or maybe you know it's not going to be great. And that's okay, and you don't feel like you have to have all of the answers. You can be transparent about it and be human and say, I'm going to figure it out with you, or I don't know what's going to happen, but I hear you. And even just having people know that you're open to asking the question and really listening, even if you don't have the answers, will go a lot further than you think. You don't have to have a solution, right out the gate, right when you ask the question. So just don't be afraid to ask, because they'll be willing to tell you for sure, but you also don't have to be afraid not to have the answer.
So for the panelists here, what would you say to anybody in the audience that may be thinking, okay, that's all fine and dandy, but none of that stuff's going to work for me. None of that stuff really matters. None of that stuff affects my bottom line. What would you say to that, Josh?
Get yourself some good training. It'd be like you gotta get out of your own way. Usually when I'm in some sort of a funk or a downtime, there's a solution there. Usually for me, it's coaching or a new book. So I would say we can all do this. I mean, we're all capable, and it's the solutions are all out there. So whenever you're stuck, don't freak out, or freak out, but then fix the problem. But that's what I'd say.
I worked at an asset and property management and supported all of the maintenance workers across the U.S. who did all of the maintenance for all of our different centers, and it was a huge organization. And whenever I would talk to them about this, they would say, Christina, techs don't want to hug and cry and talk about their feelings all day. They just want to do their job and move on. This culture stuff doesn't really matter to them. And I would say it may not seem like it matters, and it doesn't have to end in a hug and tears every time. But asking those questions and showing them that you recognize them and you want to hear from them, you'd be pretty surprised about how much even the gruffest of techs will open up to you and share their feelings as much as they think that's the other F word.
Yeah, good one.
You can feel that if you want.
I like that. Yeah, I would say for those that say, hey, this will never work for me, I think there's a common denominator up here. All of us have multiple people wanting to join our team. I mean, I've even got a wait list of technicians that want to join.
People probably want that out there.
Yeah, anybody want that wait list in here?
Well, 25,000 people is the town I live in. We got 70 employees. I mean, you can't find that anywhere else. It's just, you gotta create it. So I would challenge your thought process, first of all, if you say it won't work for you.
And I just wanted to echo something that Josh said. One, it's very important to be optimistic and to be open-minded and trying things. But two, I would highly recommend reaching out to an association or a partner. This is something I've seen both in my own family company and working with many of you at Service Titan. Is that sometimes when you're working so close into business, it's hard to see things that are apparent right in front of you, and that's something that a coach could definitely help bring to light.
It's in culture, and it's not a solution, it's the solution. You have to do it. It's not an option. And then if you're not going to do it, your guys' resume is going to be sitting on our desk. And, that's just how it's going to be. And if you want that line of people, you want to be a destination. That's how you conquer recruiting, is being someplace people want to be. So, you got to, if you think it's not going to work, you better get out of your own way and get with the program.
And if not, it's all going to come down to money, where money has not been a topic that we've talked about.
So it sounds like if you create the culture that people want to come to and be a part of, if you focus on some of these retention strategies, you can build a company that people want to be a part of. And that can help start to solve your recruiting challenge. But another question here on that whole idea of retention is, where do you even go to look for technicians, to bring them into your organization? So you created this great company culture, you have these perks, you have all these different things, but where do you go to actually find that talent that wants to come to your organization? Kevin?
We go directly to the schools and do job fairs, career fairs. That's really where we go. We have spent, tens of thousands of dollars advertising, TV, radio, which is always, you're still getting a return on that investment, because then if you're hiring, oh my gosh, that company's doing really well, and you're still branding and doing all that stuff. But we've never got a journeyman plumber from any advertisement of tens of thousands of dollars. Going to the schools and talking to the kids and bringing them up through there, and then also recruiting them at apprenticeship levels, that's where we've gotten our talent. And that's what's going to move us through the future.
I say social media. For one, we made it really cool again to be a technician, a super tech. It's a badge of honor. It's something, nobody's promoting that. Plumbing is cool. So we started with that. So as much as our social media is about, interacting with our customers, it's also about interacting with future people to join the team. And we get so many applications off of social media.
So question for Josh. If you could do one thing differently as it relates to culture, engagement, retention, what would it be?
If I could go back in time and do one thing different.
So,
I would have started getting myself training sooner, because I don't think I valued it as much as I do. Now that I see, we've heard it 10 times. You don't know what you don't know. So as soon as I got myself some really high-end training and realized that reaching out and asking for help is okay, and I wish I could go back in time and tell myself to do that sooner.
Chris?
I would have joined the Service Nation sooner, and I would have got with Service Titan sooner, and I would have got out of my own way sooner. So those are the big three.
Jacob?
As cliche as it might sound, I'd say that we were able to pick our head up sooner, and we were too busy chopping wood to sharpen the axe at the time, and really take a step back and focus on how we could grow within, rather than just bringing in new customers.
I would have worked on my business a lot more instead of in my business. In the last 10 years since I've been out of the field, we've grown 400%. And a lot of that is just dealing with our employees and dealing with the customers and not outputting a piece of pipe in.
So as we start to kind of wrap up here, what I'd like to do is just two things. One, just hear from each of you on any final words or final thoughts to give the audience as they go back and start to leverage some of these strategies, start to shift their mindset on some of these things. What are just a couple final words that you would give to them as they go off on this journey? Josh?
You want to start with me?
Sure.
A couple final words. You can do it.
That's good enough, right? Boom. You can do it. Mic drop. Christina.
I would say start small. I think culture can feel really overwhelming or you feel like it's all coming at you. I would say start with one thing and change one thing and focus on that and then focus on the next thing and keep asking the questions, but don't feel like you've got to solve it all in one fell swoop. Just, start attacking it piece by piece.
You're going to hear me say it again, and being intentional. Teamwork makes the dream work, man. So if I'm going to do it, I got to be intentional about doing it. So be intentional.
Start every day with the mindset of making an advancement and not a continuation of yesterday.
Deep.
It was deep.
I like that was a good one. If when you show up at work that morning and you're not having a good day, and people know that, can feel that about you, it's just going to bleed off onto them. So no matter what, even if you're not having a great day, always make it a great day and always portray that you are. And then your team around you will always just be that more ecstatic, no matter what.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing those thoughts. And I'll just leave you with one last thing. Can everyone put one finger in the air? One finger? So I want you to think about 1%. If you can increase your strategy, your retention strategy, your culture, your engagement by at least 1%, what's something you could do? What's an idea you could take from the panelists to go back and increase your effectiveness by 1%? So I want to just say thank you to all of our panelists for sharing some awesome strategies for creating company culture and retaining the best talent. As you remember, we sent some film crews out for those images we all saw in the intro videos when you walked on stage. What you may not know is that while we were in your offices, we got some of your technicians together to ask them what it's like working in your shops. This should be interesting. Let's hear what your techs have to say about the culture you've each created. Take a look.
Most companies are simply interested in their bottom dollar.
You come in, you do your job, they really didn't care about you.
Makes you feel like you're just a number. It's kind of taboo. You don't talk to the owner. If you are ever talking to them, it's not a good thing.
I was actually ran off the road. First thing they asked me was the truck okay?
Here is definitely a total change of pace.
Everyone here at Cohen Plumbing cares for one another. Here at Hunter, we build each other up. We're actually learning and progressing our careers.
We actually have a perfect morning routine that we all try to accomplish by writing 5 things we're grateful for, 5 goals.
I'm treated like a member of a family, a team.
The Rescue Air, they actually blocked days off, supported us a family life that you don't normally see in this industry. These guys bought me a pickup truck.
Josh actually went online for me one day when he was asking about my credit. Said, oh, you definitely got some issues on here. Why don't you go ahead and run some calls? I'll get on here, clear a few things up for you.
I've been through a couple surgeries since being here. They've helped me out through those, just like a family member would.
I went through intense personal trauma. Kevin was right there with me the whole time.
Thank you, Michael and Josh, for taking a chance on me.
You make me want to be here.
Kevin, thank you so much. We've been through a lot.
I've never in my life seen anybody more giving than Chris Hunter.
There is no amount of money that could get me to leave Rescue Air.
I don't think I would ever leave the Huntership Texas.
That's home here.
I enjoy each and every day.
Kevin, but I thank you so much every day.
I really appreciate the time and effort you put into every employee, especially appreciate the time you put in for me. Thank you.
Give it up. Truly inspiring. Chris, Josh. Wow.
Greg is a jerk.
I told you that they like talking about feelings.
Greg's such a jerk.
Wow, truly inspiring. Chris, Josh, Kevin, thank you for your time today, and thank you for showing us just what's possible when you put your employees first. Let's give it up for Chris, Josh, Kevin. Thank you so much. Thank you for participating.